And I appreciate you so much and everyone here on this call. And Stephanie and I are just so excited to be here. So I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce my friend Stephanie, our Rotary International president. And we are all so lucky to have her coming in as our president. You know, I've known many presidents, and they are all wonderful people, but Stephanie's a special person. Of course, she has checked all the boxes you need to become an international president. She served as a director. Before that, she served as a trustee for the Rotary Foundation. She headed the strategic plan, our most recent one. She served on the 100 centennial celebration for our foundation. She also has done many things, and I could talk about those things she's done all day. But I want to talk about Stephanie, the person, because at IA and other things, we're very scripted and we have to follow what is in the script. But today, since I'm not in person with Stephanie, she can't elbow me or anything, so I can say anything I want to. So, and just take the consequences later. But I could sum it up by saying she's a hard worker, she's really smart, but most of all, she cares about people. No matter where we go in the world, whether it be a small gathering or a large gathering, she's always very approachable. She's very kind to talk to people. She's not one of these people that'll eat breakfast in the concierge floor. She likes to go down and get there early and stay up late, even if she has to do it again the next day. And I remember one particular time we had just watched a webinar actually on a terrible event in Turkey where there was a lot of the earthquakes and people were dislodged from their homes. They were homeless. So Stephanie calls me up and says, okay, we have to dedicate a container so a couple families can live in that container. And so it was interesting because she was going to upgrade her stove in her kitchen, but she decided instead um, to put those thousands of dollars into that container, which I can't say when she's in person, but I can say here today. So that just shows what kind of person she is. She's a wonderful person. She is. So we are all fortunate that we'll get to share that love of hers throughout the year. So I'll turn it over to Stephanie.
Well, thank you, Tom, very much. And family of Rotary in Zone 1B and beyond, I am really delighted to be able to share this evening with you. I've been asked to talk with you about something that's really, really important in our Rotary experience, and that's the role of public image and what we Rotarians need to do. So before we go through the PowerPoint, I want to share with you just some basic information. There is no doubt in my mind that public image and membership and the Rotary Foundation are linked together. When we have strong and positive public image, it has an ability to attract and retain members in our clubs. When we grow members in our Rotary clubs, of course, we have more hands to do the work of Rotary. We have more opportunities for donations to the Rotary Foundation. When we do more work through doing good in the world and the Rotary Foundation, that gives us opportunities to talk about it and improve our public image. So you see, it is a cycle, it is a circle, everything is related. So I want to talk specifically this evening about three things that I feel are important in terms of public image and public relations. The first is we talk to ourselves too much. Take a look at who's on this Zoom call tonight. I have a feeling that everybody on this call is in Rotary. That means everybody on this call knows about Rotary. It's the people who are not on this call that don't understand the power of what we do. It's the people who are in the marketplace when we're walking somewhere who don't know what Rotary is. It's the people who sit next to us on airplanes who don't know what Rotary is. So it really is our job and our role as Rotarians to share information about Rotary with people that we meet. You know, I frequently talk to clubs and, you know, I listen to them. They talk about having strong programs in their clubs. But then I ask, how many of you as members of this club, have gone out and done a presentation at other organizations in your community? How many of you have been to the local school? How many have you been to another club or another organization? So we really have to encourage ourselves and other Rotarians clubs to continue to talk about Rotary and to share the magic of this organization. There isn't anybody in my family that doesn't know how important Rotary is to me and doesn't know exactly what Rotary does, because I talk about it all the time. And I really feel sorry for those people who sit next to me on a long airplane flight, because I talk about Rotary the entire time. You know, from August until right now, there have been about 9 people that I've encountered on planes and in meetings, and I've shared with them the information about Rotary, and all 9 of them have expressed an interest in Rotary. And right now, 2 of them are already in Rotary clubs, and I'm working on the other 7. So we have opportunities almost daily to share the magic of our organization and talk to people about how important it is for them to get involved in the magic of what we do. The second tip that I want to share with you is, you know, we have a perception issue that we continue to fight. You know, we are 118 years old, and even though we've changed, our Council on Legislation in 2016 opened the door for us to create new models in Rotary. So we have new ways for people to meet, and Tom is an expert in all of those, you know, cause-based clubs and satellite clubs, and we elevated Rotaract, and we have all kinds of ways for people to come into our organization. However, those people who don't know us still think that Rotary is Romeo, rich old men eating out. So it's our job to help people understand that that is not what we are. Look at this screen. Look at the people on this call tonight. We are not, that's not who we are. We are diverse, and our diversity is what makes us so special. So we really have to fight that perception. When I speak to non-Rotary audiences, that's the thing that makes them perk up right away. When I say that we are not Romeo, we are very different, and they tend to listen. So keep that in mind as you have an opportunity to speak to non-Rotarians. And the final thing I want to share is, you know, we have a beautiful action plan that has been released to the Rotary world. And the thing that's most important for me to share with you is the action plan is not Rotary telling you what to do. You know, I had lunch with a Rotarian last week, and he was sharing with me that last year, his club president wanted to shake things up in the meeting because everybody had been sitting at the same table for years. So she actually put assigned seats out. And he said it was a complete failure. Everybody was in an uproar. They didn't care for it. And the comment was, quit telling us what to do. So I just want you to know for certain that the action plan is not Rotary telling you what to do. The action plan is a tool for our clubs to use. It's very much like Rotary Club Central, like Rotary Showcase, like Club Runner, like DACDB, and the other products that are out there to help our clubs become more efficient and more effective. And you're going to hear more about the Rotary Action Plan in the next 18 months or so, because given this tool, it's an opportunity for clubs to take a look at themselves and figure out what can we do to make our club experience even better. And when that happens, of course, we have more stories to tell. We have more things to post on social media. We affect membership. We affect foundation giving. So the action plan really has a way to touch each of the 4 priorities that are part of that plan. One is improving our impact. And that means, you know, the more impactful our projects are, the more we can talk to the public about the work that do. One is expanding our reach. That means reaching out and making sure that those people who want to come into Rotary have an opportunity to do that. If people have the heart and the hands for Rotary, there's a place for them in our organization. The third priority talks about engagement. So when we have that strong public image and that strong PR, and we talk about the things we do, it will get our energize our base, our people who are already in Rotary, and those who aren't will look and say, you know, there's something happening in that group, and I would like to become a part of it. And finally, our fourth priority talks about being adaptable and being flexible. And that has a lot to do with what I talked about earlier with perception. We want people to understand that we have changed and we have become a different kind of organization. So Tom, let's go next slide, which has some information about Rotary's public image surveys. You know, at Rotary International, our research department frequently surveys the public to find out what are people who aren't in Rotary thinking about Rotary. Well, this graph, this picture shows you that 4 out of 10 people when surveyed said they'd never heard of Rotary. And how many of you, when somebody approached you to first join Rotary, how many of you said that? What the heck is Rotary? I know I did. I had just never heard of it. And then another 4 of 10, they've heard the name, but they really don't know what Rotary is all about. And only 2 of 10 have some idea of what Rotary does. So we really have some work to do. Let's go to the next slide, Tom. So there are differences between public image, public relations, and publicity, and you can see what they are on the screen. So when we talk public image, that really has a lot to do with what I've mentioned, like really helping the public, people who are not yet in Rotary, understand what we're all about. And public relations and publicity have more to do with communicating and creating that public image and delivering those messages about what we do and attracting the interest of the public. And there's another slide coming up, and maybe this is where Tom takes over. Well, this is one more. So this is a picture that Tom took while we were in Melbourne last year for Rotary's International Convention. The district governor in Melbourne, District 9800, decided that during the convention, she was going to sponsor a public-facing event, which was a food packing experience. Now, the people in the picture who have the vests on are the Rotarians, but all the other people, look at all the other people, those are non-Rotarians. And they signed up to be part of this extraordinary experience to come and help provide food for people who were experiencing hunger. After the event, we heard from the district governor that her inbox was flooded with people saying, I want to learn more about Rotary. How do I get involved? So I want you to think about what are opportunities that you may have in your club, in your district, in your zone to do similar kinds of events. Let's move forward.
So now what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about our voice and visual identity guidelines. So basically in Rotary, we have a master brand, and our master brand is the word Rotary with that wheel, which we refer to as the mark of excellence. So it's really important to know not to use the mark of excellence just by itself. You could have it by itself so long as the master brand, the word Rotary and the wheel, is somewhere close to that. So if you have just the mark of excellence, then it's going to get people confused as to what our brand is. And of course, we have a simplified brand, which you'll see on the lower left, which you can use if you're doing social media or other posts. And all these things we're talking about today, it's true if you do it in a newsletter, a flip book, social media, no matter how you use it, we always want to follow this brand. And when we do that, it makes the Rotary brand stronger. And when you list your club, make sure that you list the club with the master brand, that logo lockup, the Rotary and the wheel, and your club name on the left. And that's true whether you're a Rotary Club or Rotaract Club. So why do we do this? We want to make sure that Rotary's brand is strong. And if we all use the brand the way it's supposed to be, and the easiest way to do that is simply going on the brand center. And whatever you need, they have forms. If you want to do a trifold brochure, or you want to do a pull-up banner, or you want to do a billboard, you can do all that by going to the brand center, pick your language, and then go ahead and design it. And this makes Rotary brand strong. When we use different brands, it weakens the value of that brand. And we want to make sure that people recognize our brand. And if we all use the same brand consistently, then it works and it helps us keep to the guidelines and helps us keep our stories. So when you're doing a logo, there's 4 things to remember. First, always use your club name with the master brand. Don't just say Rotary Club of Pittsburgh. You want to say that along with using the Rotary master brand so they know it's a Rotary Club. The other thing is you got to make sure you don't obscure that master brand in any way. You know, I used to do PowerPoints where I would have people's face inside the wheel until I realized, oops, can't do that. And the reason we don't do that is because it confuses people. And we don't want to confuse anybody. The third thing is we don't want to add images. And we have this problem every year when we do the Rotary Rose Bowl parade float, where Stephanie will be riding, not this January, but next January on Rotary's float. We want to make sure that we don't incorporate that. Last year, when we were designing President Jennifer's float, we tried to put the wheel in the middle of the horse as part of a shield because it just fit perfectly there. And of course, we looked at the brand guidelines and they said, you can't do that because it confuses people. So over the years, we've been around for 118 years, and our logo has progressed from a simple wheel to a wheel that's got the key in it to what we have nowadays. So what we want to make sure we do is the fourth thing, which is retire all those old logos. So if you see a logo here on the middle right or the middle upper, it's 2 colors. Well, our current logo only has 1 color. So, and we're not saying get rid of everything. If you have a nice Rotary shirt you wear, you can keep it. But when you're doing new advertising, make sure that you follow the brands. I see Amron nodding as a good RPIC would do. So if you look at these are very confusing. You don't even know they're Rotary because there's just so many different kinds because they're not following the Rotary logos. But if you look at the logos on this page that all followed the brand center or likely made in the brand center, Rotary's brand is strong. Everyone can tell that's a Rotaract or a Rotary Club. Now you can use different partnership events like this, where you put the Rotary master brand lockup on the left, and then you put it on the right. This is okay. So there's a way to do everything you want to do. And if you need help, go to your RPIC, go to EVA. You can call Rotary International, and you can actually email them certain things, and they can look at it and tell you why it's good and why it's not good. And you know, it's really good if you're in your club to make sure this happens, but also if you're on the district level, you could easily go to the websites of your clubs and you could audit them once a year and see if they're in compliance or not. And you could explain to them how important it is to stay in compliance. So it's important to do that with those visual guidelines. But what Stephanie was saying is it's also important to know what's most current for Rotary in the logo and the what we talk about. So, you know, we've been talking about elevating Rotaract. Now, it is a membership type. So we don't talk about elevating Rotaract anymore. We talk about them as being members, a membership type. And, you know, this is going to be very important in the next 18 months as we try to get our Rotary action plan and its 4 strategic priorities to the club. There's certain words in there, such as participant. And Stephanie often talks about what a participant is. It's not just our members, but it's also the youth exchange people and everyone that Rotary touches through its service projects. So we want to make sure that we're using not only the right visual, but the right words as well. So now I'd like to turn it over to my friend, Director Fez, to talk about how public image can actually be used in a real project.
Faiz, are you there? Faiz bhai? कैसे देख रहे हैं हमको?
Yeah, no, it's right. Yeah. So thank you, Tom, and thank you, Stephanie, as well, for the tremendous sharing of thoughts, ideas. I mean, amazing thoughts. This has been one of our challenges, and in the manner you both have shared is remarkable. Yes, projects play a very important role, and as Stephanie has very rightly said, how we brand ourselves. Project is one of the areas where we need to focus, and somehow we do projects. I think every club, every year, they are doing tremendous work, but people don't really know about it. And there is where we need to learn how to take these projects forward, how to show them, and how to share it with our friends beyond Rotary as well. So Smart Village is one such example where, when we got this opportunity, and I would call it opportunity, the 2022 Pakistan floods, where we thought, let us come up with some program, some activity which can be sustainable, which can take us forward for years ahead, something which is very important, that is doing sustainable projects. And as friends, you all must be knowing that Gordon, Stephanie, they've started talking about sustainability, about continuity. And there is, the idea is to take this plan down to the grassroots level, where the club presidents also need to understand that it is not my year, it is our year. And there is where it begins, that when it is our year, so it is not that I just have to think of my year. I have to think of the current year and of the years to come. And similarly, is for the incoming leaders. So sustainable projects are, that is one major area where we need to focus. And smart villages, the idea came up, as I said, because of not just because of floods, but we have been talking of these 7 areas of focus. We have been talking about the sustainable development goals, and now we are talking about net zero 2050. So all these things are combined together in this concept of smart villages, where we have we've called it as smart villages program, not a project, where it can go on and on unless we I think that you have to unmute someone.
Yasir, please unmute who's speaking.
Okay, so there came the idea that let's have a program which can continue for years, and any club, any individual, they can be part of it on a long-term basis. The basic vision behind this program, we have the biggest challenge we are having these days is urbanization. So this idea is to go for de-urbanization, to reach the villages, to reach the indigenous living, and develop them through a sustainable program, and by incorporating innovation and technology. We all know that our villagers, they have tremendous skills with them, and we just need to transform them. Once you are able to transform these communities living at the grassroots level, I think we are going to achieve our target of sustainable development goals, of net zero and all. So there is where you can see it's on the screen. That's a package. It's not just one shelter. It's just the beginning, that we make a one-room shelter with kitchen, garden, and some basic needs for them. And then we keep on growing incrementally, whether it is the infrastructure, either the physical infrastructure or the social infrastructure and the economic infrastructure. So all the aspects can easily be taken care of. It is already there. It already exists there. We just need to organize them in a proper manner. The skills are available. The materials, indigenous materials are available. We just need to connect them. We have to groom them. We have to train the trainers and the villagers there, where they can get engaged, get involved in these projects. And once we are able, and that has already been started in District 3271, we have already initiated 4 such projects. 2 are almost complete, and but more are in action. Their target is before 30th June, we are able to bring on ground at least 20 villages, and then we move beyond that as well. As I said, it's a program. So just imagine that a program of the stature of smart villages, if every club gets involved in it, what tremendous impact are we going to create? And we have experienced it, friends. In a very short span of time of 4 or 5 months, we have seen that how things have changed. We have created an impact at the community level. We went to the community, we engaged them, and we have invited them to be part of it. And so the best thing is that point out a community, reach them, engage them, and adopt them. And this is what our Rotary Action Plan is. And once we are able to really do it, I can tell you, sky's the limit. Polio, friends, is one of the finest examples of history. I think we all know that how Rotary initiated it, over 3 decades plus back, and where have we reached? Where I always say that each and every individual today on the earth, globally, is well aware of what polio is, and obviously Rotary has played a leading part in that. So the service projects, I think, are going to play the most important part if we talk of of image building, of branding in real sense. Yes, Tom.
So Tom,
Thank you.
are you going on? Yeah.
Thank you very much. You see a slide that's up now that talks about the importance of us having a consistent message. When we do that, our brand becomes stronger. And when our brand becomes stronger, then we can recognize and receive more members, more partners, more donors, and then we have greater impact. So let me leave you with this message before we take questions and answers, and that is that we have a role as Rotarians. And much like I say about membership, people sometimes say, that's not my role. We have a membership chair. Well, you know what? Everybody's role is membership. We all have that responsibility. And the same is true with public image. We all have the opportunity and the responsibility to talk about Rotary and the importance. When we do that, we will move our organization into a stronger future. So this is a harsh message, but it's a reality message. If your club is not actively using storytelling and social media to talk about the impact of your projects and everything you're doing to attract members, if your club is not from time to time assessing its atmosphere and culture to retain members and use social media and storytelling to retain members, if your club is not actively looking at your communities to figure out how to bring in more members through Rotaract clubs or companion clubs or satellite clubs, new clubs, cause-based clubs, if you're not doing those things at the same time, then you are sleepwalking into extinction. We must do all three at the same time. And public image is the basis of that. Public image helps us use our action plan to take a look at where we are and to move into that future. So I would encourage all of you to embrace public image, embrace membership growth, and embrace support of the Rotary Foundation so that we can move into that exciting future. So let me stop there. And if any of you have questions that you would like to ask, Imran, I'm not sure how questions are going to be handled, but I will turn it back to you.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. The greatest take home today is that we as Rotarians, everyone are ambassadors of Rotary. We all have to take this message to everyone in the community that this is what Rotary, what we can do for you, what you can do for us. So let's work together and make Rotary as the greatest organization in the world. So I think this is one of the takes. I've got the questions. One question Stephanie received is, Rotary strongly believes in upholding its values and cement through its public image, as you've already said. We at Rotary ensure DEI and have zero tolerance on harassment. What's your take on it?
Well, I absolutely agree with that. We're an organization that's built on world understanding and peace. If we don't have peace in our own clubs, how are we going to tell the world that we're a peace-building organization? Peace has to belong and start at home, and home is our Rotary clubs. You know, we have a product in Rotary, and that product is our club experience. So we need to do everything that we can to make sure that by becoming diverse and equitable and inclusive, we are creating environments in which people feel they belong. That's the whole idea behind DEI. It's DEIB. The B stands for belonging. We want people to come into our clubs and say, this is where I belong. Absolutely. I totally support that.
Thank you very much. I've got a question from one of the Rotarians from District 3272. This is Peshawar Unitown, and he's asking, the name is Naeem Akhtar, and he's asking, how can we uplift our public image? You've already explained in detail, but if you still wanted to have some words on his question.
Well, you know, one of the ways to do it is to think about your audience. You know, as an organization, we tend to skew a bit older. Most of our members are older than the age of 60, but that's changing. We are getting younger professionals. We are getting Rotaractors. So we need to think about how they do things and how they take in information, because there's a group in the public who will take in information differently. You know, I think about how I did things when I was young. I always tell this story, especially in the United States, that when I was young, I would go out disco dancing, and I would wear shoes that were, centimeters high. And my father would grab me by my shoulder and he'd say, where are you going with those shoes? You're going to kill yourself. And I would say, Dad, we all know how to walk in them and we all know how to dance in them, because that's what we do. And I tell that story because I know that Rotarians who are coming into our organization are going to want to do Rotary differently than I do it. And that's okay, as long as they uphold our core values: fellowship, leadership, integrity, diversity, and service. As long as they uphold our four-way test. I don't care how they do it. You know, I look at young professionals, and I know a lot. I know a lot that they don't, because I've been in business for a long time. I've been in Rotary for a long time. I could teach them so much, but I look at them and I know they know a lot that I don't. They know more about technology than I could ever imagine. They know more about artificial intelligence that I can't even begin to understand. And they're going to use it for the betterment of Rotary, and it's okay. as long as they keep our foundational principles in place.
Amazing.
So that's one thing that we can do. Look at our audience and figure out messaging for different audiences.
Yeah. Brilliant. There's another question by our DGN of District 3272, Dr. Shaina Asif Chaudhary. She's from Rotary Club Lahore, Shadman, District 3272, and she's asking, how can we stay away from taking sides in international disputes?
Well, we are not a political organization. We are a humanitarian organization. And that's where we should keep our focus on humanitarian action, on humanitarian service. That's what we do. That's our DNA. We want to make the world better by creating lasting change for people. And we do that around the globe or in our communities and a lot of times in ourselves. That's where our focus should be. When we keep our focus on the humanitarianism that is one of our principles, then we are safe.
Great. One question has come up from one of the Rotarians. It's very, very important that what role can interactors play in the public image, because we talk a lot about Rotarians and the retractors, but interactors are youth. And my daughter is also president of one of the retractor clubs. So the question is from Dr. Jaspreet Surinder, Rotary Club, Khairpur, District 3271. So it's about retractors and how they play
interactors have a very important part in our Rotary family because they understand us. But keep in mind, they are not yet Rotaractors, they're not yet Rotarians, they're interactors. But think about the people whom they engage. Their parents see everything they're doing, the teachers see everything they're doing, the other students in the school see everything they're doing. So it's in our best interest to make sure that our Rotary clubs are working with our interactors in the most positive way that we can. Too often I see Rotary clubs that say, yeah, we sponsor an Interact club, but no Rotarians ever go to the Interact meetings and no interactors ever come to the Rotary meetings. Well, what's that all about? If you don't have engagement, if you're not sharing, then how do you get to know about each other? So that's a first step. We really need to get better about helping Rotary and Interact get closer together and make sure that they're partnering. Because as I said, they interact with so many different people. We want them to leave that Interact experience. They're going to go off to do whatever it is they do after school. Some of them may go on to advanced education. Some may go on to jobs. Some may move. And eventually they're going to end up in a community that has a Rotary club, or maybe one that doesn't have a Rotary club. And we want them to keep that ideal of service alive as they think about where they are. And that's part of our role. That's part of our public image role with our interactors, to make sure they understand the power of what we do, the power of service. So that would be my suggestion. Just make sure we're doing as much as we can together.
Excellent. There's a question from Maria. She's from RC Simarang, Padwan, District 3420. A very interesting question. Could you give us an advice how to deal with toxic leadership and always think smarter than everybody?
I'm sorry, you broke up. How to deal with?
Could you give us an advice how to deal with a toxic leadership and always think smarter than everybody?
Oh, that's a difficult one. One of the things that I would just suggest is that, as you've already mentioned, and I heard Fez talk about it too, it's so important that leadership is working together. So if you have a current toxic leader, I'm going to assume that that toxic leader is not working with the person that came before him or her, and it's not working with the person that's coming after him or her. So, you know, the thing to do would be to work with the person coming after to remind that person about how important continuity is in leadership and how important it is to begin that process. So if you have a president-elect and you have a president nominee, you want those two people to at least start working together. Because remember, the beauty of our model is that it's 1 year. So when you have a really good president, it's a shame that they leave office, but when they have that continuity, then what they have put in place will continue. When you have a toxic president, the good news is that person won't be there after a year. Unfortunately, there's not a lot we can do about the damage that they do in the meantime. The only thing we can do as members of that club is band together and to work around the toxic leadership and to make sure that other members understand the good that's being done, the powerful things that are being done. I know that's easier said than done, but it's the reality that it's not just in Rotary, it's in all aspects of our life, in our jobs, sometimes in our families. We have to deal with individuals like that.
I think our Detective Faiz Kudwai wants to chip in. Sir, please go ahead.
Yes, I would like Tom here to comment on the role of interactors, and it's not just interactors. How Rotary, Rotaract, Intract, RCCs, can all be combined together and get something positively done. Because many clubs they are hardly I think aware about RCCs. Some of them who do have RCC, they don't really know how to make best utilization of this resource. I can give you example, Tom, here. When I became the president of my club in 1999, 2000, and when I was president-elect, that was a time I initiated RCC. And today, it's been more than 25 years, RCC is the strength of our club. And if we have been able to do so many projects, it is because of RCC. And similarly, Rotaract, similarly, Intract. So can you throw some light? How can all these four pillars be collaborated together?
Well, thank you very much for asking that question. And it's an excellent question. And Amran, I do not have a daughter who's an Interact, but I have a son. He's not president, he's co-secretary. I didn't know there was such a thing as a co-secretary. But I can tell you they have a lot of energy and they do a lot of great things. Not my son's club, but I was working on a water project in Guatemala. And I went to the Interact Club in Burnsville and just to tell them about it. So they decided they were going to go to the local burrito shop and make burritos. And they did that for 2 nights and made $800. But I tell you, it was more than that. They were excited about the project. And it's interesting. I used to own a small piece of a minor league baseball team. And what we would do, it was all the way you made money was you got people to be there. What we always did is we gave the kids who got a report card, got a certain number of A's in the report card, they got a free ticket. Well, I'll tell you, just like Stephanie said, they always brought their whole family to the baseball game because that one student had that free ticket. So we need to do what Stephanie said. We need to go out there. We need to engage these people. Rotaractors, the same thing. It's interesting. Whenever you have a Rotaractor actually come and speak at a club, just like a youth exchange student, there's never so much energy in a club as that. And you're right, Fez. When I look at what we did with our RCC in my area, we brought in these Afghan refugees and we said, how can we serve you? Stephanie's always saying, do the assessments, do the surveys. They came up with things we couldn't even think about, like we need to get on the internet so we can find a job. We need to be able to drive, but the driver's license isn't translated into Pashtun and Dari. So I brought one of my friends in. We did that. They started getting jobs. And I'll tell you, we had the mayors from the local area come in. We had business owners that needed manufacturers, Toro, a bunch of companies. Rotary was elevated in our community because of the service we were doing. Naturally, when you reach out to these groups, you bring them into Rotary. I was mistaken because I thought when we formed this, we would get a whole lot of refugees joining. But what I found out was we had the people in those 5 clubs who had drifted away from our clubs because they were not passionate anymore because we've been doing the same service projects for a long time, same socials for a long time. When we started this, those people came back and got engaged. They started going to club meetings. They started doing service projects. So I can tell you, the more we share Rotary with others, the more we do, people leave Rotary because they just know their club. They don't know that there's fellowships and action groups, and there's all kinds of things you can do. So if we can share that internationality of Rotary, those members become true Rotarians, and we engage them and we grow. Thank you for the question.
Absolutely perfect.
I've got one question from our very beloved Rotary coordinator, Ishtiakur Zaman from Bangladesh. And he's asking a very, very interesting, important question. What is the value proposition for retaining Rotarians in our Rotary world? Chagba's question.
Yeah, value has to do with finding out why members have come to Rotary. People join Rotary for different reasons. Think about our founder, Paul Harris. When he started Rotary, it was not because he wanted to start a service club. He started it because he was lonely. He wanted friends. He was in a new city and didn't know anybody. So he found 3 other gentlemen and said, every week, let's go to each other. We'll go to a different office. We'll rotate. And that's what they did for almost 18 months. And then they decided to do service, and they put a toilet facility in Chicago. Some people want service. They hear right away, wow, Rotary's doing community service and international service, and they want to roll up their sleeves and come into our clubs. Some want professional development. They look at all of us, look at all of this expertise on this screen, and they say, if I'm a member of that club, I could probably learn things about project management and public speaking and leadership, and that's all true. Others look and same thing. They see business people and they say, I have a business. I bet if I got involved in this club, I could talk about my business. I could network. And of course that's true. So what does that mean for us? That means that we need to find out, as members come into our clubs, what attracted them to Rotary. Why are they coming in? What's the value that they're seeking? When we find that out as they come in, then we are better able to think about how to get speakers, how to our projects, how to determine our socials. And from time to time, you are going to hit on something that has value for that member. It is too late to talk to them when they are going out the door. It is too late to do an exit interview. That is a stupid time because they've already made up their mind they're leaving. You want to do it as they're coming into the club, and then you have a better opportunity to hit that value that they're looking for.
Amazing. There's one question from she's a Rotarian from UK, and she recently came to Pakistan, and she's into climate change. And question is for our director with special reference to Pakistan. But I think the subject is very interesting, and Tom and Stephanie, you can also reply. His question is, what is the plan of Rotary for 2024 climate change projects, specifically in Pakistan or globally? So this is the question. Faiz, if you can reply, and Tom, Stephanie, your input can.
Sure. Well, as far as Pakistan is concerned, obviously the Smart Village program is the answer, and not just Pakistan. The idea is to take it beyond Pakistan, because it's a total package, I would say. You would get everything and anything in it related, which can lead us towards net zero. Now, talking of the Rotaries program, I think, friends, the first thing which you need is to create awareness at a very mass level, because at present, people mostly they're having different perceptions. Even the governments, I would say, even those, even many of the stakeholders. And this COP28, which was held in Dubai, in which Rotary played a very important role and created an awareness as well. We have to keep these programs. We have to take these programs forward. And awareness, by awareness, what I mean is that what actually the world needs. It is not just a matter of putting a few plants. It is just not just a matter of yes, cleaning rivers and all that. That is important, but we have to come up with a vision, and that vision has to be developed in a broader sense. What are the needs again of that region, of that area? As I said, needs in Pakistan may be different than needs in some other countries, but there are many commonalities. So we need to learn from each other. But first thing is we have to create awareness rather. Awareness is what is missing, I would say.
You know, at the end of President Mark Maloney's term, the trustees added environment as our 7th area of focus. So protecting the environment is now an area of focus. And we have many global grants that are directed in that information. We also have a Rotary Action Group, SRAG, who's doing much work in the area of protecting the environment. Tom can speak to the number of cause-based clubs that are popping up around the globe. These are people who are banding together whose main interest is protecting the environment. So although I don't have information about what all those projects are, or what they may be, that's where the action is happening. Tom, do you have anything to add?
I think you and Director Fez are absolutely right. And the great thing is this is a cause that people really get excited about, especially our young people. I mean, we started a Rotaract Club for people who were engaged in the environment. It's a worldwide club. And how we started it was pretty easy. We just called SRAG. And we said, do you have any young people? Because those action groups are great. They can advise you how to do projects, advise you how to fundraise. But these young people don't want to just give advice. They want to get their hands dirty. They want to dig in the dirt. And so we got out a list of 120 and we called them until we had 35 and we started a club. And the projects you can do, it doesn't matter. You can partner up with Habitat and you can put solar on top of roofs. You can collect plastic bags and make benches out of them. There's so many different projects, and it's just a way to engage people. If we don't jump on this issue, we're missing members. Thank you.
I've got a last question from ARPIC Kashif, Sayyid Kashif Rafi, and this question is directed to Stephanie, and the question is, what's the opportunity cost for not being Rotarian?
Well, how much time do we have this evening? Oh my goodness. I can't imagine my life without Rotary. I've always said that Rotary is an opportunity for me to give back to the world, to find my purpose. I cannot imagine my life without Rotary. When I was growing up, my parents always said that there are only 2 kinds of people, givers and takers. And I think people who are attracted to Rotary are the people who want to give. We want to give. We have that DNA. We want to make the world a better place. Rotary is not for everybody. It is not for everybody because there are people who don't get that, who don't understand that. But for those people who do, there is real value to becoming a part of an organization like ours. Now, some people say, well, like, how is this different from, picking up your device and finding a meetup? You can go, clean the highway. That's true. But you see, we're founded on the opportunity of a fellowship. When I started this evening, you may have noticed that I welcomed you by saying family of Rotary. Okay. We are all part of a family. When you wear that Rotary pin anywhere in the world, it opens doors because people understand that you are a person that shares the same values with them. That's not not true when I go to or see people at a meetup or see people at, an organization other than that. We're founded. That's one of our founding principles, being an organization of folks who are committed to fellowship. So I think that separates us from all other opportunities for service that might be out
Absolutely. I think we don't have more questions. Actually, questions are coming in, but we need to have the whole night, for us here and the whole day for you there. I would like to now invite TGD Iqbal Qureshi, Chairman Rotary Pakistan Media Center. He has played a pivotal role in enhancing public image in Pakistan. For his comments. Iqbal bhai, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Please go ahead.
Well, I must say, Ghaznavi, that today the way you have conducted this whole program, and I'm very much thankful to the RI president and his aide, and Eva who is going to come for the vote of thanks also. But the program was so fantastic. The purpose of Rotary imagination, that what Rotary is doing, how the people should know. In every business, you see, there is one thing, and that is that you should project yourself the way you are. And if you are not able to project yourself, you see, whatever the biggest work you can do, it is useless. We had an example of our own RI director, Faiz Kidwai. I am watching him since last 35 years. Before I joined Rotary, it was 30 years. But the way he is involving, I think he's putting 75% of his time for the Rotary and 25% for his own business. But he's a very successful businessman. Same is my example on that. I think so that because of this Rotary, I got that much, contacts all over, that I feel myself that if I would not have joined Rotary, I would not have been so successful. That was the reason, you see, I started this, that media center should be there, because small clubs do not get that opportunity to get contact with all the peoples who are there in their own district and in the other district. Now, when we have got a common platform and we just, with a single click, inform that we have done this thing is spreads over all over, and everybody will know it. And they take the example of it, and they think that, oh, this is the thing which we can do it ourselves as well. So this become an example for that. So I think that your presence, Stephanie, has made a great difference. The people are so happy in watching your program, and they were just waiting for you, and you have done a great job. And same with our RA director, who is working great. And especially the selection of Imran Ghaznavi is the marvelous one. Thank you very much.